What's up, Twitch and YouTube? Appreciate you guys coming through for episode 4 of Around the Gjallarhorn. We have my guy, CallMeSpree, in the building. Somebody who's been having an incredible amount of success on all kinds of different platforms. He's been a successful YouTube content creator for a long time. His Twitch channel is absolutely blowing up, and I feel very fortunate that I decided to DM him as soon as I came up with this podcast idea. He was one of the first people that I DM'd, and I think if I'd asked him today, the answer might have been different. He might have charged me some money to be on here. But we were able to snag him. He made good on his promise to be on the show, and I'm super excited to sit down and learn a little bit more about you as a content creator, as a really damn good Madden player, and learn a bit about where you're from and where you're at. So, Spree, thank you so much for being on the show today, my friend.
Appreciate you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be a great time, and me and Spree were in the Discord for like about 15 minutes before the stream started up, and I was telling him kind of the direction that it wanted to go in, but really it's going to be kind of a free flowing conversation, just like how when we're in a Twitch chat, Spree was saying one of the things he enjoys the most is how you can start off talking about one thing and then go in a completely different direction based on what you guys are enjoying talking about. So if there's anything that you are particularly interested in sharing with us, feel free to change the direction at any time. And I promise you, it's not a gonzo journalism thing where I'm going to be putting you on the hot seat and trying to get you to trip up or anything. It's just going to be some good fun. But yeah, this
Sounds
is exciting.
Good to me, man. Sounds
Awesome.
like a plan.
Beautiful. Oh, and it's saying we're lagging a little bit here on the video. How's the video looking, guys? Is that just for Jesus Saves or anybody else? Are we behind? Hey, that's just the time zone difference, guys. There's a big time zone difference, so if there's a little bit of lag... Oh, no, we're good now. Okay, beautiful. So, Spree, the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I've never been to Oceania, I've never been to New Zealand. That's somewhere that's kind of on my bucket list of traveling to. But, I've heard of people from New Zealand. There's the nickname the Kiwis. What does that come from? Is that related to the fruit? Kiwi?
No, not at all. So we have... a bird that's native to New Zealand. It's kind of like a brown fluffy chicken. If I had to describe it to someone that's never seen a kiwi, it's like a little fluffy.
You know what?
They're endangered.
Wow.
But that is what we're named after. Obviously, kiwi fruits, you can get them here. They grow here, but it's the animals, not the fruit.
Interesting. Okay, and is that like your national animal there? Is it like, or is it just like
yeah,
nice.
Absolutely.
So that's like your equivalent of the moose or the beaver that we have in Canada. You got the kiwi birds.
Yeah, we got little fluffy animals. We don't have anything dangerous over here. You go to Australia, you want to see snakes, you want to see sharks, you want to see spiders that could kill you, you go to Australia. You want birds that do nothing, you come to New Zealand.
Beautiful. And that's the other thing like that I was, because my wife and I, when we were planning out our honeymoon, Australia was one of the potential places. But with all these videos I've seen of massive car steering wheel size spiders and stuff, I was like, honestly, I don't think I could ever go to Australia. Scorpions in your shoes, so that's not something, like, you guys don't have a whole lot of deadly species, not as much deadly animals.
Not at all. I think we have a couple spiders, but we don't have things like snakes.
Oh, amazing.
You won't even find like insects that are going to go crazy. There's not too many types of sharks in our waters that are kind of dangerous like that either. It's like a little haven on the edge of the world.
That's perfect. And that's, one of the things living in Ontario and Canada, like we have no extreme weather here. We have maybe one poisonous rattlesnake like in all of our province, and that's something you see very rarely. It's endangered. So I'm super grateful for being in a place like that. So it sounds like you've enjoyed a similar experience where you're kind of insulated from all the dangers of the rest of Oceania. So that's
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now that's another question I have, because I remember when I was in elementary school learning like a bit of world geography. Like we obviously focused on Canadian geography mostly, but whenever we learned about the continents, it was always Australia and Oceania. Is Oceania the name of it, or is it like, does Australia always have to come first when it's? I'm
not 100% sure. Yeah. I would call it Oceania.
Yeah.
Myself. Some people will call it Australasia, which is kind of like Australia plus the rest.
Yeah.
Some people will just call it Australia because it's Australia and then some other little countries around it as well. I'm not too sure what the specific is.
Yeah, honestly, and it just goes to show like how much. If you guys don't know, then we have no shot, because it goes to show you guys are the great unknown, like the opposite corner of the world. It's such a difference, and I gotta say, like, one thing, I enjoy watching your streams primarily in the morning before work. So I wake up pretty early, like around 5:30, before I go to work, and I'll tune in and I'll be able to catch like an hour and a half of your stream before I head out. And I'm always wondering like, what time of day is it for Spree over there? I can see the sunlight creeping in just over the top of your curtains over there. So it's about 11 a.m. your time right now. And what day is it today where you are?
It's Monday.
It's
Monday, almost lunchtime on Monday for me. Yeah.
Can you imagine that, guys? Like this always blows my mind. I'll never get it. I know it's a very simple thing. It's just adding a certain number of hours, and you guys are ahead of us. But that's pretty trippy to me. So it's 11 a.m. right now your time, and we were talking off stream. So it's actually a holiday where you're at. What's the name of the holiday in New Zealand that you guys are celebrating?
Today is Labor Day, so this is for all the people that work hard. They get an extra day off. For me, it is a day to watch some MCS, to watch a bit more football, and to chill a little bit. Beautiful.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So Labor Day, yeah, like, it does seem like every country has that in some form or another. We have ours in normally the first weekend of September. So Labor Day for me means I'm going back to work. As a teacher, we get our 2 months off in the summer, and then the day after Labor Day. Labor Day is normally a Monday. Tuesday, I go back to work. So it's always a bittersweet holiday for us because technically it is a holiday, but also I've already been off for 2 months. So really it means the end of the holiday for me. But so one other thing that I was wondering about New Zealand. So we'll get a little bit into Maori culture. That's one thing that I thought we could go into a little bit because I really don't know about the culture at all. But I wanted to get some of the superficial questions out of the way first, and then we can kind of dive into that a little bit. But Lord of the Rings, one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And unfortunately, I'm sure you guys get sick of people asking about Lord of the Rings stuff. But so I know that was one of the main filming sites for the movie, right? Like Mount Doom or Mordor and all that would be down there. Has that had like an impact on tourism or anything like that? Like, have you?
100%. So like, I remember growing up. I think I would have been like 7 or 8 at the time. I remember the final parade that led to they had the red carpet. So like picture Wellington where I live, there's like a cinema at the very top of like the main street, and there's like a big stretch of road that goes straight through like a lot of bars, restaurants all the way down. It'd be about a kilometer or two straight, and they had a big red carpet. And I remember the big parade and a lot of people going crazy over it. Yeah. And then obviously from there the movie did really well, then they created Hobbiton. So like the actual Hobbiton village is an official place. It has there's like a bar there. People can go see the set. It's actually looked after and maintained, so like a lot of people come for that. But you can go to a lot of the sites that they have in the movies. There's places all over the country that people can go visit. Some of them are amazing hikes that are like a little bit remote. Some of them are it's awesome. A lot of people have been coming for a long time for it.
Yeah.
And then obviously because of the Hobbit as well, people got more hyped about it again.
Yeah.
And there's tourists, like I've been to Hobbiton once, and it's crazy busy. Busy. You love it.
Is it like kind of like in the middle of nowhere? Or is it fairly easy to access? Like, is there a parking lot outside of Hobbiton and people walk in, or do you have to take like a tour bus to get out there?
Most people take tour buses, but if you've got it's like a patch of land, and like there's like a whole lot of parking areas around it. Yeah. Separate parking zones and stuff that lead to it. They've done such a good job of it. It's a cool place. That's awesome. You imagine going to like a set. Yeah. It's literally just this place in the middle of the country that's just like perfectly what it looks like in the movies, and all the little different things that they talk about and stuff. It's definitely cool.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah, I would love to check that out. Like that's one thing on my bucket list for sure. I would definitely do the nerdiest hike through the mountains of Rohan and all that stuff. I'd be all over there. But I will say, like, one of the things that I enjoyed about Lord of the Rings, like, it was a movie of such like a big scope, and the world that they created was so huge. But like these zoom out shots where they're walking through like these amazing green mountains. Like, so is that like, as far as like the geography of it, is it a very mountainous country? Like, are you guys a whole bunch of mountain ranges, or what's it like out there?
It depends where you are in the country. You'll find a lot of the stuff that from those mountain ranges would have been filmed down south. Mm-hmm. We got a lot less populated down there, a lot more plains and mountain areas, and as you can see, like it's some beautiful spots around the country.
Oh yeah, 100%. And the other question I had was about your guys' seasons, because we're so far apart on different poles. Like, Canada's fairly far north. You're about as far south. You might be the most southern country in the world, other than Antarctica, possibly. I don't know. You're far down, anyways. You're far south.
Pretty far down, yeah. We might be we might be the bottom of Argentina or Chile
Yeah.
might tip us a little bit, but we're
Yeah.
pretty far down there.
Yeah. And so, what season are you guys in right now, or what seasons
Right?
do you have? Do you have all
We have,
four?
yeah, we definitely have all four. But like it's little things like for you, you guys will think of summer as like the middle of the year. It's as a teacher, it'll be when you finish up and you get to enjoy summer. For me, like Christmas for me is sunshine. It's the beach. It's barbecues. It's you know what I mean. It's like a very
Yeah.
different experience.
Yeah. Exactly.
Whereas
That
I
is
know
so
for you guys,
different.
it's like snow and
Yeah.
I don't know all the other things that come along with that as
Yep.
well.
100%. Oh wow, that's kind of cool. So, do you guys do for your Christmas tree? If you celebrate Christmas down there, do you use a Christmas tree, or is it like like, did you guys even have evergreen trees down there, like that you can use?
Yeah, we definitely have proper Christmas trees, and people still do it. We still, I would say, we celebrate it like it's a winter Christmas. We just, you know,
Yeah.
all of the food and have enjoying the sunshine. That's just very much part of just
Yeah.
what it's like for us over here.
Nice. And then so your winter season would be during our summer. So like when we're in July and August, it would be like your cold season. How
Yep.
cold does it get? And we can talk in Celsius here, even though I'm sure
Yep.
most people in here are American. We can talk Celsius because I don't know Fahrenheit
Okay.
that well. Yeah.
I would say it depends where you are in the country. I would say like in a place like where I live, it stays pretty mild. Like it'll be probably get lows to maybe 5-6 degrees, but most of the time
Nice.
it'll stay in the 10 to
Yeah.
13, 14 range.
Oh my
When
God,
it's
beautiful.
cooler. Down south, like right at the bottom of New Zealand, you'll find it getting into the negatives, but
Yeah.
there's not crazy, not quite crazy like
Yeah.
temperature shifts like it is over there
Yeah.
where you guys are.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's actually perfect. That's about the temperature that we're at right now. Is like around the 8 degrees, and it's like you can wear a sweater, but you don't have to worry about winter coats and stuff. That's nice. It'll save you
Yeah,
some money. You can put towards streaming equipment and stuff like that. Um,
exactly.
yeah.
Buy the right thing. Spend it on the
Yeah.
right stuff.
And another thing that I was kind of curious about because I've heard the stories of what COVID was like for North Americans and Americans and Canadians, and I was wondering what was the COVID experience like down there for you guys in New Zealand? Was there a lockdown? Was there like big
Yeah.
vaccination rollout? How did it work for you guys?
So we're definitely very unique because of our position. We're landlocked. Well, we're so isolated from everyone else that we can kind of do our own thing, right? So we went into lockdown when we had 100 cases in the country. We had just hit
Wow,
100, and then we locked down the entire country. Country was down locked down for a
amazing.
couple months, and
Yeah.
then we went down to zero, opened it back up. Um, got some more cases, went in lockdown again, and then from there we had like a period of like 8 to 9 months where we were pretty solid.
Mhm.
Um, and then we'll start steadily increasing the amount of people coming back into the country.
Yeah.
People have to quarantine, but obviously, if you're vaccinated and things like that, you can still come through. You can be a carrier, all these kinds of
Yeah.
things that come with it. So then cases got back out. So at the moment, we're at the stage where I think the government's announced that fighting and eliminate COVID isn't a thing. They
Yeah.
understand that's not a reality. So it's like
Yeah.
it's all the managing. So
Yeah.
big push on vaccinations. And they got some new systems coming out. But during lockdown, it was like there was really nothing we could do. You go out for a
Yeah.
walk each day. You could go to the grocery store and get food and stuff, and that was about it. Everyone was
Yeah.
working from home or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, it's kind of opened up in different areas of the country. Like where I am, I don't think there's like big sports events. Like I don't think you can have more than like 100 people
Wow.
and a gathering at the moment. Like there's a few like I
Yeah.
can't like I play basketball, but we can't really we can't really play our basketball games at the stadium anymore because that's only like 4 or 5 different games on at the same time, and that's you've already
Yeah.
reached capacity, so you can't really like.
So
There's a lot
it's
of
just
little
the
things going
players,
on.
but not the no fans
Yeah,
in. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like there's a lot of little things, but I'd say in general, like we've had it pretty lucky. I mean,
Yeah.
for someone like me, like working from home is a possibility, so I've
Yeah.
just been chilling.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And like honestly, like for us, it was you're saying you guys shut down the whole country for 100 cases. I know I was checking the news the other day, and I think in Toronto alone we have like 350 active ones right now. So it's like obviously you guys were very proactive about that, but it's tough. It's like the story that never seems to end. It's been a year and a half. I don't even know. It's going on 2 years now of having this thing, and it totally has changed. The way we go about doing things, at least in certain parts of the world, like
Yep.
I was able to go to a wedding last night, which was the first time I've had a non-COVID wedding, where not everyone had to be masked up. The servers were masked, but everybody else, you had to show your vaccination proof to get in. It was, but it felt like going back to normal. But at the same time, there's always that, I don't know, like people walk far apart on sidewalks now. Like people,
Yeah.
are very aware of everyone's personal space. It's just the world has certainly changed in little ways.
It's definitely a different world. I'm interested to see how it changes, how everything shakes out with
Yeah,
all the changes and stuff as well. So I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
I was definitely a guy that was excited to because I finished college or university
Yeah,
at the end of 2019. So I started working full time, like
yeah,
uh back working full time, I should say. I'm like a month or two before COVID hit New Zealand. So like
wow,
like I had all these, what you finish university, like, oh, I'm gonna do traveling, I'm gonna do all these things, I'm gonna get
yeah,
out, I'm making money, I'm not a poor student
yeah,
anymore, and nah,
yeah,
I wasn't able to do all that. So like, you got to find other things to keep you busy, right? That's exactly,
exactly.
and then that's how I got into all this kind of stuff.
That's kind of the common story that I'm hearing from a lot of the people that I've kind of met in my early, exposure to streaming. It's COVID, it's kind of a blessing and a curse. It gives us time to be at home and time to, use your creativity and focus it elsewhere. And that's something that obviously you've done a great job of. And we'll get more into that a little bit later on in the stream. I want to talk about your journey as a content creator, not just on Twitter, but on YouTube as well, which is something that's where I kind of knew you from originally, was from your YouTube following. So I knew it was just a matter of time before the Twitch blew up, and it seems like that's where you're at now. I have so I wanted to talk to you a bit about so my knowledge of New Zealand. One of the things that I know, and it's probably one of the most intimidating and dominant sports teams in any sport, is the New Zealand All Blacks. Like that's something
Yes, sir.
I don't know anything about rugby. I've never watched a rugby game or match or whatever it is that you call it, but I do know about the New Zealand All Blacks. I think everybody has seen the videos of them doing the haka, which is like an incredibly intimidating and just like imposing cultural dance. So what's the rugby culture down in New Zealand, and specifically with that team? Like, are they like just heroes? Like, are they just like the best of the best down there, or what?
Yeah, yeah. You definitely put them on the pedestal. Like All Blacks have like I think they're like the winningest team of all time or something like that. Their win rate
Yeah,
is like in the 90s or something,
yeah,
all time as well.
that's incredible. Yeah,
There's like they're just it's kind of just been dominance for a long time. I don't really know what it is, but I guess it's how maybe Americans approach football or other sports. Like everyone plays rugby here. Everyone grows up playing rugby. Everyone
yeah,
watches rugby, grassroots level, club level, provincial. Everyone wants to be an All Black. Uh, um, yeah, so from a young age, everyone knows like who the All Blacks are. And then going back to like the haka is very like obviously something very specific to New Zealand. If you've seen like if you don't really watch rugby, you probably haven't seen some of the other Pacific
hmm
islands. But any of the Pacific islands like Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, everyone has like their own variation of it. All of these
yeah,
cultures that are like from the Pacific have their own variation on it, and
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely cool and something cool, something very unique.
Yeah, 100%. And the other question I had is that so New Zealand, so are they, what do they play in a specific league? Do they do like exhibition type games? Because I feel like I've seen them playing on a global level against countries. But
Yep.
are they so they're more of your country's team for global competition as opposed to a club team?
Yeah, so you will have club teams, in within specific cities or scattered around the city, and then you'll have teams that represent like a region. So we'll have like a cross country competition between us and I think Australia is we have
Yeah,
it at the moment. It used to be South Africa as well, but there'll be
yeah,
teams, 5 teams spread out across Australia and New Zealand. Well, I think 5 each, so I think it's 10
yeah,
total. And they'll play each other, and that's kind of how they pick their players, how we pick our players for when they play internationally.
yeah,
Um, so I kind of that's kind of what that's like there. And then internationally, every year we play against Australia, against South Africa, against Argentina, against other Pacific islands. But
yeah,
if you've been keeping an eye on the news, like we played the US yesterday or the day
yeah,
before. At the end of every year, we have the what do they call them? Do they call them the spring, the autumn? I think it must be
yeah,
autumn because they had the
yeah. It
northern
would be autumn
northern
now,
hemisphere.
fall, autumn. Yeah,
So they'll call it the fall tour, and
yeah,
they'll go to the US or they'll go to the UK and they'll play a whole bunch of teams that we wouldn't usually play.
yeah,
Yeah, I watched the highlights for the game against the US. Obviously, like
yeah,
it's outmatched, But it's cool to see the game expand and stuff. Like they played in Washington D.C., I
That's
think,
pretty cool.
and I think the stadium looked pretty packed, and it
Yeah.
definitely looked like it would have been good fun.
Oh, for sure, and I'm sure they're more of a draw. Like I'm sure the All Blacks traveling to another country might get more of a draw than if Canada's national team shows up somewhere. But the other question I had is so personal opinion here. Like, do you feel? I feel like Americans would kind of love rugby because it is such a physical sport that it does definitely have certain parallels to football. Obviously, being unpadded is a big difference, but who do you think would be? If you had to take on, like, how many people are on the field for rugby? How many people would you have on the field at once?
15 on a rugby field. 15.
Okay, so if you were to have, like, get into a bar fight, for example, with 15 rugby players or 15 football players, let's say that they got into a disagreement, who do you think would win? Like are rugby players look humongous to me.
It's tough, yeah, because like you see, I saw this picture on Twitter like this week of like it's crazy that DK Metcalf and was it Rodrigo Blankenship play the same sport.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they play both professionally play football. And rugby, you won't really find like you'll find disparities in size and stuff. Some dudes are absolute monsters, but they're all. If you're smaller, you've got quick, you've got agility, you've got IQ, and if you're big, you're big and dominant as well. The big difference is things like cardio and having the fitness. But in rugby, you'll have monsters just like you do in the NFL. So it would be pretty tough. Like I don't know if you'd find 5 guys on a rugby field that are as big as the offensive linemen.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
You'll find a few guys that tip the scales, probably getting close to similar weights, but it's definitely a rarity because these guys are running non-stop for like 50, 60 minutes before they get subbed out, or maybe the entire 80 minutes. And not many big boys can be running around for that time, no matter how fit they are.
It'd be hard to maintain 350-pound body weight when you're getting 60 minutes of nonstop cardio every day. So that's definitely true. So it's kind of like the NFL has. You're right. It's like that big disparity in size. Like obviously a kicker is not going to look similar to a left tackle, but I guess in rugby they're kind of they all morph into this. I mean I don't think I've ever seen a small rugby player before. Whereas you see some of the cornerbacks out there, you're like, oh, I could probably take that guy. Maybe not, but
you won't find anyone probably on a rugby field that's smaller than probably like 80 kilos. Might be about as light as you get, which would be
200 pounds or something like that, or
maybe like 185, 185 ish.
Yeah.
You won't. That would probably be as small as you'd go.
Yeah.
Most guys are definitely tipping like 120 kilos. And these are the guys that absolutely fly down the field. These are the guys with like speed,
like a Mack truck. Like they're like the Derrick Henrys of the world.
Yeah, like the Derrick Henrys of the world. Yeah, like I saw someone in the chat say John Nolomu. John Nolomu was like maybe the greatest to ever play the game, and he was faster than everyone and bigger than everyone. And it's you can definitely see parallels between the sports. So they're just guys that stand out who are just different.
Yeah,
all different.
Yeah, no, for sure, and that's one thing. I would definitely. I feel like with football, with European football, I haven't really gotten into it too much. Like even for the World Cup now, I don't tune in too much. But I feel like if rugby were to get the same exposure on Canadian television networks, I would be more apt to watch that. It seems like a sport that's more up my alley. But now I wanted to ask about because the haka being a Maori tradition or at least Maori influence. Like, can you tell me a little bit about Maori culture, like what that means to New Zealand, what that means to you? Like,
of course.
What is it?
Yeah, of course. Okay. So the Māori are the
Maori. Oh my god, I've already.
Yeah. Oh, the pronunciation. I won't say pronunciation is hard even for people that are born and raised here. It's like the rolling R, which is Spanish or.
Can you say that one more time? I'm gonna try and.
Maori. It's
Maori.
Like it rolls the R. Rolls the R. Yeah. It's an interesting. Interesting word. It's definitely something a little bit different, but it's the indigenous culture of New Zealand. My culture's been here for since like the 1400s, 1300s. They sailed over from the Pacifics and came over and settled here before the British came over and did their business as well.
Oh yeah.
It's unique in the sense that it's super celebrated. Like the culture over here is super celebrated. It's very much part of like life. You'll have Māori translations to a lot of things. A lot of people would go to. Most schools will teach some basic elements of Māori, so you'd know how to count and greet other people and say stuff.
That's awesome.
but it's definitely part of the culture. You see things like the haka and
Yeah.
other things that that people obviously know. Um, but yeah, it's very cool. I mean, that's my culture. That's
Yeah.
I'm a mix between the European side and the Māori
Yeah.
side. But like, I definitely think it's definitely cool that the culture is celebrated here. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And that's not always the case with indigenous cultures. Like for us in Canada, we obviously have a big indigenous culture, and most of our indigenous people would have come over, I think, during one of the ice ages on a land bridge. That's kind of like from the Russian side, like coming over. Like that's kind of
yep.
the theory behind how our people got here. I actually saw that. When I was researching for this interview, and I saw that New Zealand was actually the last country to be populated by humans because it's so isolated that it was the Maori when they came over, in their boats. It was like only a few hundred years ago, as opposed to thousands of years like other countries, of human
Yep.
civilization, which is kind of cool. So it's a fairly new history in the scale of like how old the Earth is, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but still not immune to British imperialism too, I guess, along the
No,
way.
not at all. Definitely got caught out there. But it's like, the country itself, our version of, I guess, what is it, Declaration of Independence, or
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
independence from, or like
The
our thing that
Constitution
connects
or
us
whatever. Yeah.
with the UK. That document's like around getting close to 200 years old. I remember when I spent some time in the UK, you'd like go down the street and there'd be like buildings and churches that have been here since like the 1500s. Like,
Yeah.
this is two and a half times the
Yeah.
age of my country. It's kind of crazy to think about stuff like that,
Oh yeah. I
We're
remember even
definitely very
going.
young.
Yeah, for sure. Even going to like London, England for the first time, and I was like, as opposed to Toronto where I grew up. I wouldn't even know what the oldest building was in Toronto. Probably a couple hundred years, but like they're like, oh yeah, this one. The people were sitting in this pub 500 years ago. I was like, that's insane to me. Like that's
Yeah.
the history is so much deeper, and well, not necessarily deeper, but just older, I guess. But
Yeah, it's definitely different aspects like that. It's
yeah,
very, very cool. It's one of the things I enjoyed about spending my time over there in the UK. Is like, yeah, culture's different because they've got a lot of history to draw on, whereas,
yeah.
yeah, our
And,
experience is a little bit different.
Yeah, and I think what I kind of before I got off track there for a second, I was going to say the idea that your culture is kind of celebrated down there, and it seems like very widely accepted, and also people are educated too in the language to some degree. Like that's pretty impressive because in Canada, and I think a lot of Canadians and the world's perception is that Canada is this great place, but we just we had to have our day of reconciliation. We have a new holiday that we added this year to basically start to recognize the negative impacts that we've had on our indigenous culture here. Stuff like residential schools where a lot of our indigenous population was taken away from their homes and basically kind of tried to whitewash them and raise them in a European model when really that's not it's kind of a lot of sad stuff and a lot of disconnect between the communities here. So it's something as a child I wasn't aware of because I'm more from the European on both sides or just Canadian on both sides. But yeah, it is refreshing to see a country that maybe found a better way to bridge the gap and the differences between cultures. Yeah, like you guys
Yeah,
have.
I definitely think there is. I think there's history of that everywhere. I think there are definitely times throughout where that definitely was a thing, and people wouldn't have done it so widely and stuff. But definitely over the last, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 years, it's definitely
Hmm.
been pushed. Now it's definitely celebrated. But I
Yeah,
definitely think there is, like, the generation before me. I definitely know that there are people who didn't grow up with it because it just wasn't widely spoken, or
yeah,
people that never learned the language and stuff. So, like, I mean, times change, people change,
yeah,
which is always good. Change for the
yeah.
better, hopefully.
100%. No, I definitely agree with that. And but before we move on from talking about New Zealand and where you're at, is there anything that I missed? Is there anything like a fun fact or anything that you'd want us to know about New Zealand? Something that might surprise the North American viewers in the chat right now.
Anything?
I don't want to put you on the
Uh,
spot. Think
yeah,
of
no,
one
that's an
random
interesting one.
fact. Yeah, it doesn't have to be interesting. If there's nothing, that's totally fine too. We can move on to Madden as well. What about? Oh
Harder.
wait, I wanted to ask you one. I can throw you one if you want.
Okay, perfect.
so
Perfect. Hit me
with
with it.
yeah, so with basketball down there, you were saying you play basketball. Is that something like, is that widely televised down there in New Zealand? Is it like what would be the popular teams in New Zealand, or is it kind of a mixed bag of who people root
Uh,
for?
Definitely a mixed bag. Definitely a mixed bag. It's the fastest growing sport in New Zealand. Anyone in the
Yeah,
chat that knows, Stephen Adams was like the catalyst.
yeah,
Because he obviously got drafted. And maybe
yeah,
he's not like an amazing player, but he knows his role. He's a veteran now. He's been in the league for a long time. He comes back and does
yeah,
basketball camps. But ever since him, like it's just been skyrocketing. People obviously trying to get scholarships and going over to the US.
yeah,
A lot of people in New Zealand are trying to play, New Zealand leagues and then try to play in Australia in the NBL, which is
yeah,
we got there's like people skipping the draft playing in the NBL, or it's a pretty solid professional league as well. So
yeah,
basketball is definitely one of those sports that's steadily growing as well.
yeah.
We're trying to
Stephen,
get there.
yeah, definitely, and Canada too. Like, I mean, technically, basketball, I guess, was invented by a Canadian, James Naismith. That's at least that's what we tell ourselves. I don't know, like it wasn't popularized in Canada, that's for sure. But I think they said there were 19 Canadians on opening day NBA rosters this year, which is the most ever. So for us, it was like. It wasn't so much about having a Canadian star break through into the league. It was more about having Vince Carter in like around 2000 come in and blow up and be a superstar that kind of inspired all these guys that are now making it to the NBA. They grew up watching Vince Carter, and now you see all these Canadians who kind of came up in that era. So it's definitely kind of interesting to see. Like there's a lot of high level basketball here too now, and that was it was already a big enough sport that I wasn't good enough to play it when I got to my high school because there are too many guys who are better than me. But I do love the sport too. Like it's an exciting time now that we have like football going on, baseball playoffs and hockey and basketball all starting up at the same time. This is probably like the best month of sports viewing out there, I would say.
This is Yeah. I've always wanted to. My goal has always been to come to the US, and eventually, I want to do it properly where I'd come for X amount of time and I'd see
Yeah,
as much sports as I can and that kind of
yeah,
stuff. This is that kind of time where I can hit and check a whole lot of boxes, right? There's not many
yeah,
times.
definitely.
There's probably no other time of the year where I'd be able to experience all the different things, and
Yeah,
so that's like marked in my head. I've got to, you know,
yeah,
there's always goals, big goals. We can talk about other goals later, but yeah,
yeah,
that's
for
the kind of thing
sure.
like, okay, there's definitely a time.
That's definitely a bucket list thing, and if you ever
Hmm.
are in North America, like that's the beautiful thing about Twitch too, is that you'll probably have a network of people if you wanted to go out and meet up with a different person in every city. You'd probably know people from your own chat that would be looking to kind of hook up with you in different towns. So it is kind of cool, like the global local culture that we have here on Twitch. Like sports is the thing that kind of unites us and binds us. At least in this Madden community, it is like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yes, I I hear people say stuff like that. Hey, you better be it because
Yeah.
when I do come, you're gonna be one of the first people I hit up.
I've got a couch ready for you. If you're ever in
Beautiful,
Toronto, yeah, I've got a couch ready. I could actually give you the best guest bedroom as well. But that's where
beautiful.
my pet sleeps. It's a little bit of hair in that on that bed. So, but yeah, so we talked a lot about New Zealand, and now let's talk about Madden because you primarily always stream Madden from what I've seen. Is Matt are you a one game guy at this point in your
I'm
streaming
a
career?
I'm a one game guy because that's the best way to do it in
Yeah,
my opinion. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
There's you gotta build the thing your way. Variety does doesn't do you any favors. I enjoy playing Madden, so
yeah.
it all makes sense for me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And is it something that that you would eventually down the road like to be able to branch out? You're right. When you're trying to build your channel, it certainly helps to have people with an interest that are going to want to keep coming back because if you're streaming, a flight simulation game and then they come back and you're playing Madden, you're not going to get many return viewers. But down the road, would you like to have the flexibility to potentially hop on and play something else? And not,
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I think that's always the goal. You always want to get that have that opportunity to do what you enjoy doing. I
yeah,
don't like I enjoy playing the game. As
yeah,
crazy as it might sound, like I
yeah,
enjoy playing. I enjoy chilling with the chat. I play
yeah,
the game quite a bit. So for me, it doesn't even. I just have fun playing a little bit
yeah,
of Madden. I know that like last year, at the end of 21, I took like probably like 6-8 weeks off
yeah,
streaming, and I was playing Warzone,
yeah,
and I was enjoying just playing, playing a different game, doing something
yeah,
different. Having the opportunity to be able to switch it up and do stuff like that would definitely be
yeah.
cool.
And it is kind of nice. There's that little from maybe late March onwards, there's that little kind of magical period where you can kind of feel like, Madden's a little bit dead right now. So, for some people, it's a great time to build their channels because, I think a lot of us started streaming in the off season when a lot of the big guys are streaming other games or move over to MLB The Show or whatever. But at the same time, it is nice. It's kind of like the beginning of summer break. You have an opportunity to go out and play other stuff and refresh and get ready for the next release because it is. Madden's a pretty busy season. It's a lot going on. Like late August now, the game comes out, and it's just like so much content. And for a guy like you, who started out on YouTube, like how do you balance like your time between Twitch and YouTube as far as content goes? Like it's got to be tough.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely tough. So we can talk about like the YouTube and the beginning and all that kind of stuff. But, like for me, in my head, I have a fairly clear picture of what I need to do on YouTube to be successful. Like I've seen what kind of videos work, what I need to do, where I can like always ways to improve, always different ways to learn. But I have a fair picture in my head what that looks like.
Yeah.
On Twitch, I didn't really have that idea, right? I'm still trying to figure out the pieces that I need to put together to do something that I enjoy and that hopefully other people can enjoy. So at the moment, I'm streaming because I enjoy streaming.
Yeah.
I'm not really doing much on the YouTube. I do a little bit here and there to pop a video to keep in practice with being able to edit videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in general, the focus is on Twitch because Twitch is what I'm learning and trying to understand at the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like over the next little bit, I'll start trying to find that balance of doing YouTube a set amount of time and Twitch maybe a little bit less, but trying to balance the two. But at the moment, like I'm enjoying streaming and it's nice to just to have that balance.
Yeah, and
we'll get there.
We will. I was going on one route with the question, and then I ended up forgetting what I was going to say, so I went and skipped ahead to the content creation side of it. But I still have a whole bunch I wanted to talk about Madden content related wise. Like, so what I was going to get at with the question was, how do you feel like the content has been rolling out this year? Like, do you feel like there's been enough content, like with the promos that are out, with like the limiteds that they're releasing? As far as like the pace of new cards that are being released, what's your honest opinion about Madden 22 as opposed to maybe the last couple of Maddens?
I think the content is. I think they're giving us a lot of content. I think they're giving us a lot of ways to get a lot of stuff for free. Things like NCATs are not as exciting because you can't put them into sets. It's cool for people trying to build teams. It suits some people with theme teams and stuff. It's great to have access to cards. I think they're dropping a lot of good content. I know it's a little bit tough that cards are getting so fast so quickly and stuff, but I think people are still playing the game. People are going to continue to play the game. So I don't think they can win from like if they gave us slower cards, people might be less less desire to actually use them. We give them fast cards, people love the cards, and then there are people that are going to be unhappy. Like they definitely can't win that. But I think in general, content. I don't think people have issues with Madden 22 content. I think content they've done a pretty solid job of. Solid job.
Yeah, and I think EA is in a good spot because people still remember Madden 20 when COVID hit, and content really died out that year. I remember like around March, the game was essentially the teams were done. Like the golden tickets were, everything was done. So whereas last year I felt like it was a pretty good pace. Like we got a lot of cards, a lot of new players, a lot of variety for theme teams. This year I think the same thing. Like there've been a lot of players coming out. The one thing that's kind of worrying me is seeing guys like Ed Reed getting another card already. Who was the other one? There was another card that was just released. As
Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, is the first batch of Legends already getting recycled? Does that mean? I think it was CJ Sauce. I saw tweeted something out where he was saying he wondered if maybe EA had cut the budget a little bit for player rights. Because they do have to pay for the players they use in game. So I'm hoping that's not the case. But I guess that's something you have to wait and see.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Now, another thing I wanted to ask about with the Most Feared promo. So, obviously, and I didn't play the first weekend league of Most Feared. I was taking a little break at the cottage with some friends. But the morphing cards, the morphing strategy cards. So, were people like fully able to use +10 speed in weekend league 2 weeks ago? Not this weekend, but 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. If you adjusted your lineup from the screen from head to head or weekend league, I believe that was the case. You could get the Giants out there.
Yeah.
I didn't face it, but I know people that did, and
I
mean that's people go into weekend league. People play head to head maybe to have fun and try some different stuff. But that's what,
Yeah.
that's how I approach it. But weekend
Yeah.
league, people are going out there to get wins. So you go out there and you see, I don't know, 6'10", whoever it is, or
Yeah.
6'8",
Yeah.
Jeremy Chin out there just running around like crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I tried it out for the head to head seasons. I wasn't around for weekend league, so I didn't have the opportunity to cheat. I honestly I probably would have if I had the chance, just for the content. People were I had no idea because I had been away for like 4 days where I hadn't touched the console. I hadn't really looked at Madden stuff. So when I came back, I was completely oblivious. I just saw my Twitter feed like blown up with people complaining about why wasn't this patched and whatnot. And I think I personally like the new workaround where they still give you the strategy cards and they're still pretty good. Like I think it's like +5 height. I think that's the one I'm using right now, and +10 to all catching stats. Like I'm using that. And I'm like, that's nice, and it's not overpowering where the guys are 99 speed. They get down the field. So I think they found a bit of balance. So you're able to use those strat cards in
Yeah.
weekend league, or at least I was. So
I think that's a good balance. I think
yeah,
I understand like the competitive side. You don't want to.
yeah,
I don't know, that kind of morphing maybe doesn't suit like the competitive side. That's why
yeah,
they kind of banned it in the actual competitions. And weekend league, I can see why people previously wouldn't want to see that. But for people that just want to come and have fun, like I'm sure
yeah,
the promo is definitely one that they look forward to because people
yeah,
get excited about seeing 10-foot monsters just throwing it
yeah,
up and these wild animations going crazy. Like that's definitely a part of the game that they've gotten used to. So
yeah,
I think it's good to have it in the game. It's the tuning and where they put it, and I think they've actually done a good job. Like I think
yeah,
the height plus catching but no speed boost is definitely a dub. If you
yeah,
go for speed, you lose height.
yeah,
I think they've got a good balance where there are different types of cards that you could pick from and that are all
yeah,
viable. And I think that's like the most important part of the game is that people have options. Like there shouldn't be one thing that everyone has to do to enjoy
exactly.
the game. Like if they've got variety, I think quarterbacks are a classic example right now. You see if you watch competitive, you'll see a whole lot of people use Josh Allen for Gunslinger. You see a
Yeah,
whole lot of people use Dan Marino for Hot
Hot
Route
Route
Master
Master.
and
Yeah,
Conductor and stuff like that. You'll see people balling out with Vic,
yeah,
um,
for the RPOs
utilizing
and
his
whatnot.
speed.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, exactly. So there's the biggest thing is people. As long as people have options, I know people make fun of like the Raiders team getting boosts and the team's
yeah.
juice. It really is,
Oof. Yeah, it really
but
is.
it really is crazy. But like all I'm really looking for is cards that people will want to add to their team. Even if I don't want them on my particular team, I want cards that other people can enjoy and have on their team. So
Yeah, hundred
that's
percent.
what we're looking
That's
for.
because then we can find ways to make everybody happy, and there's less of the malaise or the gloom in the community where people are just like, "Oh my god, my team hasn't gotten a card in ages." And I think yeah, the Raiders theme team is another thing that we can talk about. Like, I've always like personally, I've used a Chiefs Niners theme team for the last 3 years. Like, I really started kind of focusing on maybe 3 years ago. And I've always used a pretty meta team because we always know. Well, maybe not this year. The Chiefs are looking pretty bad, to be honest. In real life, they're struggling right now. But you always want to take a team that's going to make a deep playoff run, and the Niners just get a ton of good legends because they've had so many historically good teams over the years. Do you use a theme team like when you're playing in MUT? Like, do you have a theme team that you go to every year? Or do you switch it up or?
I'll switch it up. I think because I go no money spent at the beginning of the year, teams are so far out of scope.
Yeah,
I think early in the year people were running the Jets teams to get boosts on guys like uh, Ed Reed and Brandon Marshall early
yeah.
on. Like that, there was Tampa Bay when Joey Galloway came out. Like
Oh yeah,
a lot
that
of
was
that is
crazy.
100% out of scope early in the year. It's not until I get later in the year I'm trying to find. You're trying to find ways to make your team better. Theme
Yeah,
teams make sense in those speed boosts. So I kind of just I tend to follow meta when it comes to team building
yeah.
and I keep an eye on what people like to use on offense and defense and stuff as
Yeah.
well. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so you were saying you follow the meta on team building, and honestly, I've had a few people like my guy KC Chiefs, who you know as well. He comes into your stream quite a bit. He's kind of one of the
A
best
legend.
players
A
doing
legend.
current. Yeah, he is a legend. He made my Discord for me, and he's kind of given me a glimpse into the competitive side of Madden to make me realize why I could never be part of it because of the work that goes in. But he's been trying to convince me to go to Raiders. He's like, you just have to. It just makes things so much easier. But I'm going to stay strong with my team. I think the Chiefs Niners are already in that second tier, so I'll be able to play with these guys for a while. And by the end of the year, everyone's going to have all 99s anyways. So
Yep.
if you can fight through this portion of the year, and then once it gets to even playing field in March, we won't be worried too much about it. But I noticed one thing that you've been doing on your team, and I was actually tempted to try it. So you were running your safeties at cornerback. I think I noticed both Cam Chancellor. I don't want to give away any of your competitive edge
No,
here.
that's fine. That's fine.
And
that's
Ronnie
fine.
Lott I saw, and I was like, Ronnie Lott's got on my team 96 speed, 95 zone coverage. I run zone all the time. How have they been playing for you? And why did you choose to do that?
I mean, I love it. I think it's don't expose the glitches. So I'm keeping an eye on the chat at the same time as well. Shout out to our guy Geezy.
Go Geezy's looking out for his comp community here. He doesn't want me to give away the glitch.
I love the safeties at corner. I like you see a lot of guys throw to the flats. A lot of running back out, a lot about tiny and flat. So there's a lot of things that are underneath. And having a guy that can come down with like 90 plus hit power and try to force shots and make them tired and stuff is pretty clutch. Yeah. Cam is amazing at corner because he's 6'3", so like the plays that he can make where he can drop back and like get up and snag a ball is really, really crazy. I mean, I don't know if everyone's played Weekend League yet, but if you want to get really glitchy with Weekend League, you go ahead and put Jesse Bates and Jeremy Chin at corner and go see how much fun you can have there, because you can put mid zone and acro on them, and they could be acroing everywhere, and people aren't going to be able to throw over their heads, and stuff's going to be crazy. I got to
pause the podcast and take notes here. I got to write down these glitches so that I remember to do these. I'll have the VOD ready, so I'll be able to rewatch this and steal those. Definitely, good. And the reason that I put so much, or that I'm so interested in your gameplay is because you're a damn good player. You were 24-1 in Weekend League last week, and I see you with at least 20 wins every single week for the most part, unless something horribly wrong happens. So, how many years have you been playing Madden for that you've gotten to this level where you're really comfortable with the game?
I would say I jumped in and started playing Madden 20 around zero chill time. So like obviously, I was a very bad. I was definitely a guy trying to figure out how to work the MUT streets and stuff. My team was terrible. Up until Easter, I don't know if the famous Easter promo where everyone could do the glitch and you could get
that was a beautiful
players time. And then from then everyone had like the best team possible, and then golden tickets came out, all those kinds of things. I actually at the beginning it was all about I do this with every game. I don't like being bad at games, so I'm trying to learn the game, trying to get better at the game, and then found a scheme that I really liked, and it was civils. So shout out to our guy Civil.
Mr. Civ.
Mr. Civ was running a slot offset out of Patriots, and I watched his streams a few times. And I was like, oh, this guy does some cool stuff. I could run some of this, and that's kind of what I got into. I started, I think, towards the end of the year, obviously when a lot of the comp players are not playing so much, but I was able to get into like the top 100, 19, 20, 21 wins, and I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is cool. I realized that like I like the competitive side. I like the challenge I like the back and forth, the chess match that goes on in the game. And then going into 21, I just wanted to kind of keep building on that. So it was kind of cool to keep trying to find ways to learn the game, play the game, have some fun at the same time. Because that's what it's like in stream. Like I play the game because I want to win. Right? I want to try to find the ways to win. But like it's a video game, you know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
You just go out there, you have some fun. Hopefully it goes well. If it doesn't, the chat's right there to build you back up, and on to the next one.
For sure, and that's one thing that I appreciate about your stream is that the gameplay is super high level. It's really good, but at the same time, I don't think I've ever seen you with a bead of sweat on your forehead from playing the game, or with raging out after a loss. It's kind of like you don't sweat the small stuff. Like you seem to have a really good demeanor and probably very good mental health to be able to kind of keep from getting frustrated on stream, because the more comfortable you get with streaming, the more comfortable you get being yourself in front of your chat. A lot of people are very comfortable to just rage out and show all of their true feelings when they throw that game losing interception in the red zone. So how are you able to kind of stay so calm, playing against all these tough opponents that you go against?
I have I definitely had my moments. I used to, I wouldn't say, I don't know if rage is perfect, but it's things that I can't control. You know what I mean? It's I used to dislike playing the game when I used to have bad internet, so I used to run on Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
Now I have Ethernet and I have better internet, so like lag is not a thing for me anymore. But before
Yeah.
when I was lagging, I couldn't adjust, or I was missing kicks, or I'd get DC'd because my connection was bad. Like I'd
Yeah.
get frustrated there because I have no control. Now if I
Yeah.
lose, if I throw a pick, that's probably on me. It could be on EA, but it's probably
Yeah.
on me. 99% of the time, it's
Yeah.
probably on me. And I can live with that. I can live
Yeah.
with that.
You're exposing the comp scene right now because people like Go Geezy, who's in the chat right now, if you were to throw a pick, it would be EA's fault. But you're revealing that it is definitely our fault when we throw picks most of the time. So some of the
Yeah.
animations can be frustrating sometimes.
Oh
but,
yes,
but
some of the definitely dice rolls, but
yeah.
there are definitely you can definitely make mistakes in this game. Sometimes you don't pay for those mistakes, and sometimes you do.
Yeah, Goki's saying that you're a liar and that you yell in Discord all the time. You just mute your mic on stream and then you go into the Discord and yell with all the other comp demons in there.
Yeah, I'm just yelling all the time.
Yeah, that's how he
I'm a
stays so
fake.
calm
I'm
on
a
stream.
phony. He got me. He
That's
got
right.
me.
Yeah, but I'll say the same thing. You're right. The disconnects I find super frustrating. This year, I had a couple of desyncs during the early access. Not even disconnects, just the desync where you play the game and it just erases it and you got to play it again. And that sucked if you put in like 30 minutes into the game and then you have to replay it. Like that's frustrating because you're right. A game is a game, but like our time is something that we only have so much of. So if you put 30 minutes into a game and you don't get a result, whether it's a win or a loss out of it, it can be frustrating for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's important to realize what we can control, what we can't, and obviously, I mean, you're winning most of your games anyways. From the looks of it, you're winning the vast majority of them. So I mean, that probably helps too with feeling good about the game.
Oh yes, 100%. I think if I'm losing games, I don't know if I have the same
Yeah.
demeanor.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Winning always helps.
Oh,
Winning
absolutely, yeah. And the other thing I've noticed, and I'm wondering whether this is a glitch or whether this is you just finding a way to work weekend league into your schedule. But I'm noticing that you're finishing off a good chunk of your games on Sunday and Monday. Now, is that just a strictly result of wanting to stream as many games as you can, or is that strategical?
That's just kind of how my schedule kind of pans out.
Yeah.
I don't like. Sometimes it pays off where I think it makes sense, and maybe there are definitely times where it feels like you get an easier run because everyone's played their weekend league already. But there are times like when people have all these tournaments and stuff where people save all their games, haven't done weekend league, and will all play at the same time, right? So
Yeah.
I've got 15 games to get through. I'm gonna have to get through a little bit later, and then I'll jump on stream to finish off most of them.
Yeah.
If a whole bunch of guys haven't finished their weekend league, it could be demons, straight demons.
Yeah.
So sometimes just like every weekend league, it's up and down. Sometimes you play crazy players, sometimes not so much. But yeah, in terms of the scheduling, it's just how it works out. It's it's kind of fun when you get to the last little bit. I've got like 4 hours. I've got 10 games to get through, and I'm trying to beat the players and trying to chase the clock. It kind of keeps the pace and keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it makes for great early Monday content before I go to work. I'm always nervous for you. I'm like, oh my god, he's not gonna make it. There's no way. But you got to make guys quit in the first quarter basically to make it happen.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah, no, that's I was always wondering what that was like because you're right, on a ladder weekend when guys are playing ladders to try and qualify for tournaments, weekend league would be super sweaty on Sundays and Mondays. For me personally, I find that. I haven't found a meta. I'm trying to find the time slot that I can play my games where I win all of them. But bottom line, it's not the time slot. Apparently, it's actually whether or not you're good at the game. Because
if anyone finds that time slot, let me know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, then it's gonna get flooded with all the casuals. It'll be even better. It'll be perfect. But as far as you've been through a couple of how many years have you been making content for Madden now? So since Madden 20, you've been.
The end of Madden 20. So about the time that you started streaming was probably about the time I started making my first YouTube videos.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, that's kind of wild. And you've grown a lot in the last couple of years. Are there any obviously we're in the middle of one of the better promos during the year, most feared. What are some of the promos that you look forward to throughout the year? Like either just as a fan of the game, the type of cards that come out, or as a content creator? What do people get excited for?
I think Christmas is always a big one. So everyone loves Zero Chill. There's obviously the present stuff. There's already always so many cards that come out.
Yeah.
It's a time of year where people start having breaks and stuff as well. So,
Yeah.
man, it's a good time for people to get excited about things. Easter, golden ticket, team of the
Yeah.
year. Some of the big ones. It's like the promos that give you cards that people actually want to use.
Yeah.
Like there's not many people excited. Hey, I don't
Yeah.
know. There might be people in the chat, but heavyweights come out in a couple of days.
Yeah. No
I'm
thanks.
not too excited about heavyweights. We might get
Yeah.
good cards.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here excited about Wednesdays waiting for heavyweights to drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, there are definitely promos that are a little bit different. Things like Blitz, where people can get more bang for their buck if they're buying packs, and
Yeah.
things like that. I think is definitely cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just can't complain. We'll never have enough content. We always
Yeah.
just want more content, more. Give us all the content.
100%. And the funny thing is this year, I've kind of stopped playing solo battles. Do you play solo battles free for coin, or do you just play head to head pretty much?
No. I was a solo battles guy. I used to do the sweat it out, get my
Yeah.
top 50 or top 25s,
Yeah.
and get the rewards back in Madden 20. And then I realized in 21, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I was finding ways to make coins enough that I didn't have to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because I would definitely be one of those guys that's trying to. Obviously, our guy Casey
Yeah.
chooses the glitches. He knows how to get it to the top. But
Yeah.
I would definitely, if I was going to do it, I wouldn't just go for legend. I'd be going for those top rewards. And
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
I enjoy just playing the game and playing head to head, and I seem to make coins okay from that. So
Yeah.
I try to avoid solo battles.
And this year, especially without having the coin quick sell options, it kind of makes it easier to kind of say no to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I find I'm just trying to keep on top of the solos, which I'm not on top of the solos. The most feared just released another 30. So I love new content coming out for promos, but I hate new solos coming out. Like that's one thing I'm like, oh god, I wish there wasn't. I don't really touch the house rules too much. Do you play house rules because like it's kind of a variation of head to head, or not really?
I play house rules to lab. Same with head to head, to be honest. I play head to head if I'm really locked in, then I'm trying to make coins. But I'll be doing some wild stuff in head to head and house rules because there's no better time to try different stuff. I'll try new defenses. I'll try new abilities. It gives me a chance, like a little platform to just try learn against like real competition. Practice mode is something that I don't really use, but if I can go out and try some stuff against some players that might know what they're doing, I'll do it for that. I don't really do house rules for the rewards. It's definitely just to do something different and try out some stuff.
Yeah. So you don't need the NCAT cards. You'll pass on those, and you'll go for
I'll pass on the 1250 training or my 85 that I pull from the packs. Yeah,
exactly.
You can keep those. EA, you can keep those.
Yeah, no kidding. That's one thing I think. As far as like for you're no money spent or close to no money spent. Are you no money spent this year, Spree? Are you
Yeah.
Have you always been no money spent like in previous years too?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love it. Like I play the game enough, and I feel like I approach the game in a way that I don't really need to spend money. And because like I know like this year was about 6 to 8 weeks before I felt like I had a team that was on par with everyone.
Yeah.
That first bit is slow, but it's like it's part of the grind. Like I enjoy the grind of having to build a team and try to catch up and try to do all that stuff. So for me, it makes sense. I will say I was on stream probably about a month ago, or when Vic dropped. So that was only a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And shout out to my guy Hollywood. Hollywood's a 2K guy, but he's been doing some Madden as well. He came into the chat and he was like, "Bro, you wanna rip some bundles for me?" So I jumped in. He gave me control, and I was like ripping bundles, and I was hyped.
Nice. Yeah.
I was so hyped. I'm sitting there trying to open packs for Charles Woodson and Michael Vick. And it wasn't my money and stuff, and it wasn't my cards.
Yeah.
But I was so dang hyped just sitting there like trying to open these packs, and I thought that was super dope. So he gave me like a taste of like, I mean, it'd be fun to do. There's no necessity to do it because I think the coins I'm pretty much at the stage where I can kind of get anyone from now onwards. But there's definitely a rush that comes with opening packs for sure.
Oh, 100%. And it's like a little endorphin boost too. Like I think EA is very aware of this. Like it's I don't know what the breakdown is between game sales and microtransactions, but I would almost guarantee that the microtransactions are going to blow the game sales out of the water. Because
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's going to be
exactly.
Crazy.
And even because the guys that are in our chats watching us stream Madden and play Madden, they're I'd say that there's obviously different skill levels in both of our chats, but if you're watching it on Twitch, chances are you're probably in the top 25% of players. Anyways, there's probably a good chunk that are, just buy the game, play it for a week or two, and then, move on to playing NBA 2K or whatever. But, I'd say the casual guys, a lot of guys will spend at least a few $100 on the game buying packs, and that adds up over time. It's like triple the price of the game, so.
Yep.
And yeah, I think unfortunately, I think that's kind of the nature of video games going forward. No money spent's going to always be a grind. So luckily, you're able to find some kind of coin methods that have helped you out along the way. Is that something you post on YouTube? Is that something that you post for content, or do you like to hide it?
Coin method. I haven't done like any coin related stuff. I think it's for anyone that's trying to do YouTube, it's a fantastic way to see growth, and I understand that, like, if I want to accelerate growth or stuff, there are different types of videos that you probably want to make on YouTube that'll help you grow and get out there faster. Coin making methods is definitely one of them. It's definitely a tick box that people love to see.
Yeah.
I haven't really done anything this year. I played every solo available. I have tried to build my team the right way. I played weekend league each week, and I played a lot of head to head, and that's about it this year. There's nothing. Yeah, I'm up to like maybe 500 games of head to head. I played probably 250 total in all of Madden 21. Like I've been grinding head to head this year.
That's incredible.
A lot more than previous years just to make coins, and it's set me up pretty well.
Yeah, I see. That 500 games head to head is a lot. I'm to the point where I think I probably played 250, and I'm normally one of the guys who, I'm not a great player, but I do grind the game quite a bit. During COVID, when I was working from home and I, had a shorter work day, it was incredible the amount of games that I was able to play that year. And now last year I still played quite a bit, but going back to work in person, I was like, oh, I can't keep up with the pace that I used to do. So it's but it is definitely a grind, but it's a grind that you can take some pride in, with the leaderboards and whatnot. I know you use head to head strictly as a labbing and coin making method, though. It's really weekend league for you that you look at as your gauge of success. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. I check the head-to-head leaderboards. It's good to see, the leaderboards are, I would say, I'm always looking at the top guys, not the guys that are top of the list, but, you can clearly see the guys that have won like 500 games and only have like 50 losses, the John Beasts, the Henrys, all the demons of the world, right? So you can kind of see where they're at and keep an eye on their records and stuff like that, and kind of see where they're going as like a gauge. But yeah, Weekend League's definitely the one. Weekend League's definitely the one that I find that I match up with these guys a little bit more.
Yeah, for me on what console are you playing on, Spree? Are you Xbox or
I'm a PS5 guy. PS5, definitely a PS5.
Yeah, it used to be. It used to always be the Volterex and Vos. They're not at the top with like 1 million Super Bowls, and the win percentage was like 90 plus. I was like, how does this happen? Now it's KC Chiefs this year on current gen, because that's where he makes a lot of his coins, and and guys like Cryptic Jewels, like some of the young demons out there. It's crazy. Like I'd love to be there one day at that point, but I don't know if I have the work ethic it takes to get to the level of you guys. But you're pretty plugged into the comp community. I know you said today on the holiday you were watching some of the MCS games that were going on. Is that something that you'd be interested in pursuing in the future? Do you ever see yourself trying to qualify for one of these tournaments?
Unfortunately, it's I'm not able to compete just because where I am in the world. I'm not actually able to register, so that's a limitation. I would definitely try. I don't know if I'd be able to make much of a run, but like it's another chance to test yourself against good players and like in games that actually matter as well. So like if you've been watching the brackets, some of the best players in the world are losing to maybe players that people haven't heard of, and people will be making the names. Like anything can happen in any given day, especially in this game. So unfortunately, that's not something that I can do. So I'm in the Discords, watching people prep and watching them play their games and seeing all these high skilled players out there balling.
I bet you what Spree's really thinking is I'm seeing all these high skilled players that I've beaten before in head to head seasons making it on, and that could be me. That's what he's really thinking. he won't
head
say
to head
it.
is different. Head to head is definitely a different monster. It's a different monster. Like you play these guys and you can never tell if they're how switched on and stuff they are. Even in weekend league, right? Unless there's like a record on the line, people might just be chilling in the chat and stuff like that. But in a competitive game where everything's on the line, that's when you see the best players kind of ball out and make plays. It's actually been really cool to kind of watch. I've never really had the insight in being in Discords where people are running games to prep and people watching film and all the stuff that goes in behind the scenes for a lot of these guys trying to prep for tournaments, and it's been
Yeah.
very cool, very
Yeah.
insightful.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm sure it's making you a better player as well, like being in contact with these guys and being a witness to what they go through to prepare for a tournament.
Yeah.
Hopefully they find a way to make it so that people from New Zealand can compete, because I feel like we're kind of being deprived here. That would be amazing content for you and an amazing challenge, something that I'm sure would get you really excited to, because you seem like a guy who doesn't shy away from challenging yourself when it comes to streaming and playing the game for sure.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. Definitely be fun.
Yeah. Now I feel like we've talked quite a bit about the Madden too, and I was kind of thinking, now we could maybe get into your content creation experience, because when I first met you, it was a combination of like I saw you on Twitter, and then also through YouTube, like noticing you coming up on YouTube as a content creator. How did you first get started in this whole Madden content creation game? What was the inspiration for you?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned earlier, I finished university or college at the end of 2019, and I don't know if this is a feeling that other people have, but I went from working, like working and studying full time, like
Yeah.
having no free time, to working a full time job and having too much free time. Like I had too much
Yeah.
time on my hands. I didn't know what I needed something like I needed a creative outlet,
Yeah.
and I was kind of getting to that stage where I kind of felt like I needed to justify the time I spent playing games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I
100%.
feel like there are other things that I could be doing at the same time. So I
Yeah.
was like, what could I do? And I've seen people make content for a long time. I first started watching Madden back in Madden 16, um, and started playing the game, but I wasn't really I was definitely a bot. And
Yeah.
then I got to like obviously Madden 20 was when I started making content. I was like, I see people do this. This could be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, if I go in for the right reasons, like if I just go and have fun, try to do what works for me, and see how it pans out, like it's the worst that could happen. Worst case is I buy a little bit of gear,
Yeah.
it doesn't work out, and I've learned a few skills along the way. So that's kind of how I approached it.
Yeah.
Um, when it came to making YouTube videos, like I posted my first video probably in like January. I probably didn't post the next one till like March, and then I was probably making videos consistently from like April, probably most
Mm-hmm.
days.
Yeah.
And at the beginning when I started, I was kind of just making videos on pack openings, gameplays, testing out new players, coin making, anything that I could do to kind of try something different. Like I
Yeah.
never knew what type of videos would work for me or which ones like wouldn't work. My editing was bad, my audio was bad,
Hmm.
all these kinds of things. In YouTube, you just have to learn kind of on the fly
Yeah.
and kind of just learn as you go. But I didn't actually tell anyone. The only person that knew at the time was my partner, my girlfriend, who I actually live with. So
Yeah.
I couldn't hide it from her.
Yeah.
But when I
Exactly.
was first started off, like every single subscriber I got was what I call organic. Like I didn't have any friends that knew about it. Every
Yeah.
person that came and subbed was someone that I didn't know that subbed because they liked something in what I saw. So
Yeah.
for me, like
That's awesome.
the first couple months, I would get like maybe a sub or two, maybe a week,
Yeah.
and within a few months, I was up to like maybe 20, 30, and that was huge for me because even though I was making videos most days, and
Yeah.
my views were really low and my likes were really low and the engagement was quite low,
Mm-hmm.
people were starting to find some of the stuff, and there were a few videos that started to push. Like I had like a few plays that I used to run. I had a few
Yep.
gameplays against G Maya that started to give me a little bit more exposure, and my numbers went up.
Yeah.
And I knew going into Madden 20 that the goal is to create some kind of name for myself, or at least maybe a name that some people are familiar with going into Madden 21. To use the
Mm-hmm.
momentum to build up, get into the YouTube algorithm, get all those things, and then when I
Yeah.
hit 21, you can hit it guns blazing. So that was my approach, and that's what happened. I think we went from, I think I started Madden 21 with about 100 subs, and I think about 2-3 months later we hit 1,000.
Amazing. Yeah.
And we hit 2K a little bit after that. Now, since then, me making YouTube videos has definitely dropped off. Obviously, we're
Yeah.
focused on streaming and trying to learn how to stream and what that means and stuff. But
Yeah.
I'll always like. I have a lot of fun on that platform. There's definitely some different stuff you can do there. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like my YouTube journey in a
Yeah.
nutshell. Like kind of just
I think
try to
I
build
think
some momentum,
yeah.
learn, try to get better, and then I kind of hit it at the right time, and I was able to get some good momentum and kind of just grow from there.
That's fantastic. And I think the last time I checked your channel, you're up towards between 3,000 and 4,000 followers on YouTube. Is that correct? Or
I don't think I'm quite that high.
Oh, maybe
I'd love
maybe
to be.
maybe around
I think
approaching three, approaching three.
I think we're on the road to 3. It might be like
Yeah, that's
2,500,
incredible.
2,600 at the moment. Like
Yeah,
it's a for someone that's not really putting out content at the moment. I'm pretty
yeah,
happy with where I'm at. It's a good foundation to keep building
yeah,
from.
for sure.
Which is awesome as well.
Yeah, and kind of what you talked about, that for somebody like me, I have a YouTube, but really my YouTube is my editing is horrible. The time that I have to put into it is limited. It's something that I wanted to do to just push myself, and I started
Yep.
doing TikToks as a way of being like, okay, well, if I can make a 20-second video, then I can put a bunch of those 20-second videos together, and I can make a YouTube out of it. But for my channel, it was just pushing the link out on my Twitter. That's probably where 95% of my followers came from. But as far as like organic clicks, that's where the real growth comes from. So it's pretty awesome
Yeah.
that people were just able to kind of stumble across your stuff and find something of
Yep.
value, and then want to come back and get those noties and watch your new stuff as it comes out. But
Yeah. Yeah.
you've kind of stated that you're making a conscious effort of focusing on Twitch right now, and I feel
Yep.
like what do you feel like? Have you been seeing the results? Because I mean, I've been seeing the results as somebody comes into your stream. It seems
Yeah.
like you're really killing it right now.
The numbers are definitely going quite crazy. I try not to like, as long as I'm having fun, I'm enjoying the process. Like that's really what it's all about. For some reason, I think it's maybe because there's just a little bit less people in the morning that are the streaming at the moment. Maybe
Yeah,
there's not quite the names that people are familiar with, so there's a bit more of an audience in the morning. But yeah, the numbers have been going a little bit crazy over the last little bit. I'm not too sure. You got to
yeah,
take advantage of it when it's there, right? So
hundred
kind of
percent.
keep building, use that as a launch platform and keep building from there. Because like a lot of the guys that people are used to in the morning, like I don't know if
Like J
Trey's
Dubs.
streaming in the more, but like J Dub,
Yeah,
there are definitely a few people in the morning that people have been used to that can't kind of aren't there
yeah,
at the moment, and that's kind of like
you're filling that void.
that's a gap, and that was not intentional. That was just like this year I have to stream at a time that suits me. In
Yeah,
the evenings in New Zealand, that's perfect. I can
yeah,
stream after work. I can stream into the early hours of the morning. Like that
yeah,
works for my schedule. I can't do what I did last year,
yeah,
and it kind of just luckily worked out. So I'm really happy with what's going on in Twitch this year.
yeah,
I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and I love learning. Like I'm a real nerd for things uh like design stuff. Like
yeah,
I work in tech as that's my career. So
yeah,
things like UX and UI is like super important to me. So like little things like how people design overlays, alerts, all these little things. A lot of these things that I don't do very well because I
yeah,
keep it very basic. All
yeah,
things that I'm super interested in. So it's like I always feel like there's more stuff you can learn in the game
100%.
and
Yeah,
more ways you can improve and try and make it better. Like the people that are at the top of the top in terms of Madden, which have cover a lot of those bases and do a lot of the things. And even though guys that aren't up there are guys like Mr. Retro Yumi is one of the guys
oh yeah,
that always comes to mind. Like the even if you're not a fan of like the retro feel, the way he from the arcade machines to the
yeah,
overlays to how he approaches, like he kind of goes all in on
yeah,
his style of things. And I
yeah,
think that's really really cool. So it's like trying to learn and trying to find that where I fit into all that and what I like and stuff like that as well. So
yeah.
I mean, I can just turn the camera on, have some fun, talk a little bit of smack, play some games, right? That's cool. But there's also like ways that I can keep incrementally improving, which is super dope.
Exactly.
Meet some cool people along the way. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool to be able to just play.
Absolutely, and honestly, that's one of the things that interests me too. Now, I'm one of the guys who will, make connections and hire somebody to do my overlays for me. But like, the best ones are the ones who, are able to take your input. Like, I'll have a vision in my head, but I have no idea about the technical know-how to create it. Whereas you might be able to. Do you make your own overlays, Spree? Is that something that
I
you're?
So I have a very clear picture of what I want, and if I can make it, I will.
Yeah,
So things like my social media stuff, I'll make. Things like
yeah,
emotes, things that I think I can get good value if I get someone
yeah,
to do it. I'll do it. So I use Fiverr quite a lot,
yeah,
um, for emotes, for sub badges, for things that I think I can't do justice
yeah,
to get to the quality that I want.
yeah,
Then I'll get someone to do it. Things like thumbnails, editing, all that stuff that I do myself because I feel like I can
yeah,
get it to a stage that I'm happy with.
yeah.
But in terms of a
Exactly.
lot of those design things, I can't do it to the quality, and the time that I'd invest is not worth. I'd rather I
Yeah,
can get good value paying a little bit of money for someone to do a much better job. So I
for
think there are like
sure.
there are different things you have to consider there. But I don't know.
And
I like it.
yeah,
It feels like a game within a game, and
exactly.
I don't like describing it as a game because I don't want people to think like, oh, you're faking it. You're just doing it because it's a game. I like it because there are different things that you can do that'll help you, things that you can do that won't help you, that'll
Yeah,
have negative impacts. Like
yeah,
it's a learning game. It's fun. I
yeah.
like it.
For sure, and you know what I like about Twitch too is that there's such variety. Like you know, from the my favorite streamers, I could have two of my streamers that I consider my favorites, and they're on the absolute opposite side of the spectrum. I could have, you know, a stream that I like to watch that has a whole bunch of crap all over the screen, and it's like completely covered with overlays. And you know, I've been guilty of that myself in the past too, of like just having spamming all kinds of stuff all over my screen, and then and maybe some would argue that even right now my stream is a little bit cluttered, but you know, it's part of my personality. You know, it's like sometimes you got to go with what feels right for you. And then
Absolutely. Not even
yeah,
sometimes. This
always,
should
yeah.
always be what works for you. Always, always.
Exactly. I mean, you know, maybe there is something to be said. There's a formula to follow, and you know, a lot of people say whatever the top streamer. If you want to be growing your channel, look at the top streamers and do what they do. There is definitely some wisdom to that. You know, but at the same time, there's some of my favorite streamers, and it's just literally might be just a camera box and not a single overlay showing, and it still is awesome. So you know, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You just got to do what you're passionate about and what you feel, and switch it up when you're getting bored with your current setup. I think is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and have
Yeah,
you Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, a lot of people, a lot of people should keep in mind the fact, like, everyone started with nothing. A lot of these people, the person that first comes to mind is Fendler, right?
Oh
Is
yeah,
if
yeah,
you were there for the
mm-hmm.
console fans and like
Yeah,
the green screen or whatever,
yeah,
the software version of green screen that they have,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
he's the same person that he was. His content was always amazing. He always
yeah,
had that energy, that vibe. He just, you know,
yeah,
as it didn't look the same as it does nowadays. You know what I mean? So, like, a lot of
yeah,
people can carry those no matter what everything else looks like, and that's obviously what people come. Well, people might come for the game, but people stay for the
yeah,
personality and some of those other things. All those other things are like little additional bits that you can offer
yeah.
people to give people a little bit more along the way.
For
Yeah,
sure. Like you know, I love, you know, like Fendler's green screen is awesome. You know, guys like Fritz use the green screen too. Guys like Skimbo and W, the Need It guys, have super clean overlays, and
yeah,
you know that's obviously really impressive as well. Like it's but it's true. I remember like the original energy in the original Fendler streams on the console, where the content was still great, even though the budget wasn't there at the time, and the technical know-how wasn't there. You know, everybody starts somewhere. Like, what was your? I also started like right after Fendler. We were in a
yeah.
CFM together, and I also picked up a PS4 camera, something I didn't have at the time, and had a lot of fun streaming for a few months before my wife got me like an old used computer that I could use for my stream setup. What was your initial stream setup like? Very first spree
My
stream.
my initial Okay, so for the first spree stream, I had an old MacBook that I had.
Hmm.
I remember this because my first stream was actually on Twitch. I'd already been making YouTube videos, and I was
Yeah.
definitely growing there. But I always knew that I wanted to be over on streaming was always something that I thought I'd enjoy. And I originally had like a really what was I using? I might have been using like my phone, like using an app to use my phone as the
Yeah. Yeah.
camera. I used to have it like taped
Wow.
up, like just here in front of my screen, so I couldn't actually like see if the picture was okay. It was like
Yeah.
lagging because I had like bad internet. Like it was terrible. And then eventually, when I got onto YouTube and started streaming on YouTube as well, by then, by the time I started streaming on YouTube, I had just built my PC. So
Yeah.
I bought the parts and bought my PC at the end of November last year, and I was like, well, I have this machine now. I can stream. There's no so I just put
Yeah.
on the camera. I didn't have this camera before. I think I was using the iPhone camera again back in the day.
Wow.
Um, I had a Blue Yeti mic. Um, yeah, and then since then, obviously we've upgraded. We've bought
No
toys along the
kidding.
way.
Yeah.
We've managed to buy some toys along the way. Yeah, so there's like in my head, it's always I can control a lot of things, but like technical quality is always something like I don't know. It makes sense to me. I always felt like that if it didn't work out, I could buy the things, and if it didn't work out, I could sell the things. I take an L on financial stuff, but I would have had fun and learned some stuff along the way. Like,
Yeah.
I can live with that. That's a cost I'm happy to live for. That's why, I bought the stuff, and I've slowly accrued things along the way, and now I'm at the stage where I don't feel like I have technical limitations. Like, I'm limited by my knowledge of how to edit and do stuff. I don't have to
But you
really,
got the
I'm not really
tools.
thinking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the tools there. Everything from here is just about learning and knowledge and
Yeah.
educating and try to have fun at the same time. So, like,
Nice.
for me, that works. I know it wouldn't work for everyone, but I think the main thing is, like, I think people can tell if you're having fun, if you've got good vibes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you have a camera in the background, or you don't have a camera at all and you're just talking to the chat. Like, there's a space for every. One thing that's super unique about Madden is that I feel like we're a community that can get kind of behind anyone, which is super dope.
100%. No, absolutely. The Madden community is pretty special in that regards, even though, relatively it's a fairly small community. Like, when you look at the directory and, you see people playing, like, I don't even know what the other games are. I really don't get outside the Madden directory too much, but, like, you see other games with, like, 50,000, 100,000 people in the directory, whereas for us, we might have 10,000 during the opening week, and then you might have 500, already, like, this point in the year in the early morning time slot, and it's, but I will say, like, the generosity of the community and the way that people kind of support each other and the community feel, like, it really is a community feel. Like, if you spend a year hanging out in Twitch chats and becoming active, your network will be so great. You can go into any stream and basically everybody knows everybody, which is pretty amazing. Even up to the biggest streamers in our community, it's like there's a real knowledge of who everybody is. And it's cool to hear, though, like, going from having this selfie stick setup that you started out with, and now being able to basically have everything at your fingertips now, and just but still realizing that you can always learn more, you can always improve. I guess the moment you stop improving is the moment either you'll stagnate or you'll get bored with it too, right? Like,
or get left behind as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's there's constant need to learn and develop and stuff. Yeah.
No, for sure, and to be able to stay true to yourself while also trying to stay on top of what's working and what's not is kind of the important balance to find. And like you said, like, your greatest success this year has come from trying to take care of your own self and your schedule better. And bottom line, it's benefited your stream too. It kind of just worked out perfectly for you. Yeah, so it's always nice. A lot of the guys that I've had on the podcast, Retro Yimmy, King Kong, everybody kind of goes back to, a moment that they had when they were streaming, like an opportunity that they got and kind of ran with. Have you had what you would call an opportunity yet, or are you still, some crazy memory? Or have you just been doing your thing?
I feel like I've been doing my thing. I think I've been lucky a couple of times with some big hosts.
Yeah.
But I definitely haven't. I've never had anything that just kind of. There's nothing that comes to mind. Maybe someone in the chat that spent some time might know, but I can't think of anything that that really kickstarted things.
Yeah.
For me, I was kind of when I moved over from YouTube. When I left YouTube, I would say we were probably averaging. I left just after Zero Chill, so it was a busy time. But I would say we were probably averaging anywhere between like 60 and 100 viewers probably for the entire streams. Like, we had good numbers, but I knew the community side of Twitch was always going to be there. So I actually felt very lucky that I even got a small portion of that to come over and show love when I first moved over to Twitch. Yeah. And I was able to kind of ride that and get some growth from there. Yeah. And then this year, obviously, the morning slot, even all the people that used to watch, a lot of people aren't up early in the morning, so people, I got to find new people to kick it with. So a lot of my chat is we got OGs that can't even make it anymore because of the time zone difference nowadays. Yeah. But it's like I can't think of anything in specific that kind of just took off. It kind of just seems to like a very gentle incline, slowly in a positive direction, I would say. And we kind of got in there. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Like it's and I would kind of agree. Like, it's true. Yimmy was talking about getting a raid from Swain Games back in the day. Like, it takes something to break your first, to get from having like no viewers to getting 5 viewers. That's probably one of the hardest things to do on this platform. Like, you're obviously at the point now where you're an established streamer to some degree. You know, you've been doing it for a while. You're having a lot of success right now. You're in a routine now where people know where to find you. And you know, we can your stream schedule right now. What is it? How many days a week are you streaming, and what's the start time?
I'm doing uh 5 days a week at the moment. I start at 11 p.m. my time. It gives me time to work, chill after work, spend time with my partner, do other stuff, watch
Yeah,
stuff. But I'm also like a person that doesn't sleep too much anyway. So like,
yeah.
or I'm pretty good at taking naps if need be. If I'm
Oh yeah,
well, if I'm absolutely chalked. So I'll stream from like 11 to anywhere between 11 and 2 a.m. or 11 and depending. Like sometimes I'll get raids and I feel like I got
yeah.
to
You
keep
got to
the
push
energy.
it.
I keep going. So anywhere from like maybe 2 to maybe 3:30, 4 a.m. if need be. And you know, a lot of the times I'm starting work the next day and
Yeah,
nothing a coffee can't fix.
yeah. No kidding. You'll push through
So
it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So like I'll stream tonight. I'll stream, and then tomorrow I have the day off. It gives me a chance to kind of, if I haven't been sleeping too much, maybe a good sleep in, and then I take Friday my time, which is Thursday,
yeah,
or Friday morning, I think for you guys.
yeah,
Friday's a good chance for me to get out and
yeah.
party or
Live
do,
life a
I
little
don't know,
bit. Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Stuff like
Exactly. Because there is
live
life
life a
outside
little bit.
Twitch. Yeah,
Yeah,
hundred
exactly.
percent.
And that's one of the big things that is different from this year compared to last year. Is last year I used to stream because it worked for people like in the US
Yeah,
or in Canada. Like I streamed at like 7 8 p.m. Eastern, which is
yeah,
perfect because a good time to get viewers.
yeah,
But it was also at like 1 p.m. during the day for me. And
yeah,
like I think anyone that if when you think about scheduling and stuff, if you book something in the middle of your day, it kind of chalks your
yeah.
afternoon and your morning because like you're limited on what you can do in the morning. Like it takes out
Exactly.
a chunk of your day. So I knew I couldn't do that anymore. So now I have the freedom. Like I can still go out, have a few drinks after work.
Yeah,
I can do a whole bunch of stuff, but I can still come home and
yeah,
jump on, turn on the camera, start having some fun, stream for a little bit as well. Like
yeah.
it feels like it's the natural end of my day now. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like
Hundred
I know I
percent.
do have my day. I stream, and I'm off to sleep.
No, it's beautiful. Like that's kind of one of the key things is finding something that works for you and being able to find a work life or a stream life balance. For you, you're working as well during the day, doing your full time job as well.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep.
So you got a lot to
Yep.
balance. So how are you
Yeah.
finding the work life balance right now and balancing your time between Twitch? Do you feel like you're experiencing all the life outside of Twitch that you want to right now in a
I
good
I
spot?
feel like I'm ticking the boxes at the moment. I feel like it'll be a little bit tougher with YouTube. I got to find.
Yeah,
I'll have to find what works for me, scheduling wise, and the kind of content that I want to create that also can mirror kind of my schedule. Like, in my head, I already understand that making content that's fully up to date, right? Like the newest cards come out, getting
yeah,
gameplay stuff like that. It doesn't work for me because the game cards come out at like 3 a.m.
yeah,
That's like it's just not plausible, right? It's not
yeah.
something that I could do and do
Exactly.
with longevity. So I need to find stuff, and I have a few ideas from learning experiences of what works for me. So my schedule might change a little bit more when I'm getting back into the YouTube grind a little bit, but at the moment, it feels good. I feel like there's a balance. I work from home like 3 to 4 days a week,
Yeah.
because I work in tech. I've got my
Yeah.
laptop. I can go to the cafe. I can work on the waterfront. I can kind of do
That's
wherever,
awesome.
whenever, wherever. So it's
Yeah.
it's good to have the freedom to be able to, if I'm streaming till 4 a.m. and I got my
Yeah.
first meeting at like 9:30 or like 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
I can sleep until 8:55,
Yeah.
quickly smash a coffee, and I'm
Yeah.
ready to roll, ready for the workday. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, there are. I'm finding what works for me, and I think
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
again, that's kind of what it's all about.
For sure, and it is important. Like you've realized with upping your Twitch schedule too, that right now at this point you need to tone down the YouTube for a bit, and that's the important thing is never feeling like you're burning the candle at both ends and like you're getting super burnt out because trust me, I've talked to plenty of content creators, like people that I consider close friends, and people in the council that I'm part of now, and 2 weeks into the new game coming out, best believe people are burnt out already. Like it is, it's very easy if you don't take care of everything outside of streaming that you'll get into a place where you're, things are not looking too good. It's easy to get tired and burnt out on this platform for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Yeah, so one piece of advice for any up and coming streamers is take care of your mentals. In addition to trying to become a better streamer, the mental part of it is probably the most important thing about being a streamer. I don't think
Yeah,
good
look
vibes
after.
would be a thing if you weren't mentally healthy.
Exactly, exactly. Look after your chicken. Look after your mentals.
Yeah.